Out here, the road is the story. Route 66 once carried America straight through Amboy until faster routes left the desert town behind. Amboy was built on stop-and-go life gas, coffee, a bed for the night. Neon promised comfort in the middle of nowhere, and travelers believed it. When the interstate arrived, it didn't destroy Amboy with noise. It destroyed it with efficiency. Cars stopped needing this place, so they stopped stopping. Gas pumps are made for constant motion arrivals, departures, small talk. When they go still, you realize the town's economy was never buildings, it was traffic. Amboy looks like a postcard that got left in the sun too long. The outlines are still here, road, buildings, signs, but the life that filled them has evaporated. A motel courtyard was built for arrivals. Families unloading trunks, kids running, tired drivers exhaling. Now it's built for nothing but heat and wind. The interstate didn't take Amboy's buildings, it took its purpose. A new road can erase a town without touching a single wall. This machine once sold cold relief to overheated travelers. Now it sells nothing, just a memory of convenience, stranded in a place that got skipped. A Route 66 cafe was built on short conversations, coffee, directions, stories from the road. When the highway moved, the conversations ended, and the room stayed waiting. Roads age like skin. When cars stop passing, the cracks stop getting noticed, and the desert starts reclaiming the lane, grain by grain. A mailbox is small proof that life arrives daily. When it's empty long enough, it stops being a tool and starts being a marker of who left. Power still crosses this desert without stopping. That's the new logic of the interstate era movement. Without contact, speed without towns in between. Neon is meant for night, when the desert feels endless and a sign feels like salvation. In daylight, it looks fragile, like a promise left out to fade. This window once watched for cars one more customer, one more tank of gas, one more reason to stay open. Now it watches emptiness, and the town watches with it. A motel key is meant to travel hand to hand, door to door. Left behind, it feels like the last guest never checked out of the town itself. A cash register is a town's daily pulse small transactions that keep lights on. When it goes quiet, the economy doesn't just slow down, it stops. Route 66 was built for patience miles of nothing, then a town like Amboy as a reward. The interstate removed the patience and took the reward with it. The land here is older than the highways. Amboy Crater watches quietly while roads change, traffic shifts, and human plans rise and fall like dust. This phone once meant reassurance, calling home, checking maps, saying, "We made it." Now it doesn't connect to anyone, like the town itself got disconnected. A grocery shelf is where a town proves it's alive. Milk, bread, and basics. When the shelves go bare, you understand how fast a community can thin out. A motel is built for a constant parade of strangers. When the parade stops, the doors stay closed, and the desert becomes the only guest that returns. Route 66 towns lived on stories, postcards, photos, wish you were here. When the interstate came, the story kept moving, but the town stopped being part of it. A town can't exist without water. The tank still stands, but it feels like a relic proof Amboy was once meant to last longer than a highway decision. An interchange is a promise of options on, off, faster, farther. For Amboy, it became a bypass with no invitation, turning a stop into a shadow. A guestbook is proof that people once stopped here on purpose. When the pages stop turning, the town stops being a destination and becomes a detail. A full parking lot is a town's heartbeat you can see. Here, the lines remain like a skeleton waiting for traffic that chose a faster route. Route 66 was a line that connected towns by stopping in them. The interstate redrew the map with speed, so places like Amboy became optional overnight. At night, a neon sign should mean safety, food, rest, and people nearby. When the road is empty, the glow feels lonely, like a lighthouse for ships that never come. Coffee was the unofficial fuel of Route 66 poured fast for drivers chasing daylight. In Amboy, the pot sits still, like the morning rush never arrived. A bus stop is made for morning's noise, backpacks, impatience. When families thin out, the stop becomes a symbol of time that doesn't come back. This bell used to mean business someone needs gas, directions, help. Now it never rings. and the town's quiet feels like the answer. A storefront is built to face people. When people stop coming, the front becomes a wall, still standing, still watching the road that forgot it. Tumbleweeds are the desert's traffic. When they're the only thing crossing Route 66, you realize the road became a stage and the town lost its audience. A lived-in room has tiny movements. Voices, footsteps, routine. When only curtains move, the house keeps breathing. But no one is there to notice. You can hear the future from here, fast lanes far away. The sound carries, but the customers don't. That's how a town gets erased by distance. Amboy's history is written in small transactions. Gas, snacks, repairs, beds for the night. When the interstate came, the receipts stopped, and the town stopped with them. A payphone used to be an emergency plan, proof you could reach someone if the desert went wrong. Now it's just a shadow of connection. Signs are stubborn. They keep pointing long after the reason is gone. Like Amboy is still offering directions to a place the highway stopped visiting. A pool is a summer promise noise. Splash, relief from heat. An empty basin here feels like the moment travelers stopped believing they needed to rest. In roadside towns, the future is counted in traffic. A ledger like this tracked the flow until the interstate rerouted the numbers and the math stopped working. Amboy was built for overheated engines and tired drivers. When the interstate took the traffic, it also took the reason anyone would pull over and cool down. Cold drinks were the small miracle of the desert highway. An empty cooler is a simple sign that the miracles stopped selling. A billboard frame is advertising without a message, like the town still wants to be noticed, but nobody is paying to look. A service bay is built for emergencies. Flat tires, overheating, broken belts. When the traffic moved away, the emergencies moved away too, and the bay went silent. Amboy once served people passing through bags in, bags out, one night and gone. When the interstate bypassed it, even the idea of hospitality stopped rolling. Price boards are meant to change every day, proof the station is alive. When the numbers disappear, it feels like the town stopped updating its future. Souvenirs are proof that a place mattered to someone for a minute. When the shelf is empty, it's like the town lost even its small claim on memory. In a living town, doors open for people. Here, doors open for wind, like the desert has become the only customer still arriving on schedule. Mailboxes are made for regular life bills, letters, small news from far away. When they sit empty, it means the town stopped receiving the world. Even highway towns needed basics help. Supplies, a place to sit when things went wrong. When the traffic vanished, the safety net vanished too. The wind becomes the town's new storyteller. It writes in sand, rewrites the curb, and slowly edits Amboy into something closer to landscape than community. In the end, every bypass town learns the same direction: out. The road stays faithful to movement, even when it stops being faithful to places. Sunset makes Amboy look inviting, like the town is about to wake up. But beauty doesn't pay bills. Without traffic, even perfect light can't keep doors open. A working fridge means daily demand cold drinks, fresh food, a reason to restock. An empty fridge means the demand moved to a different exit. A register drawer tells you what a town depends on: small sales, constant flow. When the drawer stays open and empty, it's like the town surrendered to the quiet. Old highways asked you to stop and look around. New highways ask you to keep moving. Amboy is what happens when speed becomes the priority. A vacancy sign is supposed to flip on and off with the night. In Amboy, vacancy became permanent, like the town was always waiting for the next car. This couch once held tired travelers waiting for keys, waiting for coffee, waiting for morning. Now it holds only dust, like the town's rest stop turned into a museum. Postcards were tiny advertisements for the road proof you stopped somewhere real. When the rack empties, it's like the town loses its right to be remembered. Midday here is unforgiving light, heat, and no shade. Amboy once turned that harshness into business. Now the harshness is all that's left. Route 66 towns survived on breakdowns, tires, belts, overheating, bad luck. When the interstate took the traffic, it also took the problems Amboy used to solve. A town's buildings are more than businesses. They hold weddings, funerals, and the moments people say, "We belong." When a town is bypassed, belonging gets thinner. When people live somewhere, Water is always moving. Showers, dishes, small routines. A dry spigot tells you the basics stopped, and the town stopped breathing. Twilight used to bring headlights another wave of travelers, looking for a bed and a meal. Now the road stays dark, and the town waits anyway. Maps are polite. They keep names long after a place loses its daily life. Amboy is still a dot, just not a stop, unless you choose it. Streetlights are built for nights full of people. Over an empty road, a streetlight feels like a tool waiting for a job the town no longer provides. Billboards used to compete for attention, food, gas, rest. A blank billboard is what's left when there's nothing to sell to travelers who no longer stop. Amboy's heartbeat was never the desert itself. It was the rhythm of arrivals. When the rhythm moved to the interstate, the town fell quiet all at once. A window once framed customers pulling in. Now it frames the road itself, still moving, still shining, but no longer stopping to look back. A menu is a list of ordinary choices: coffee, breakfast, a quick meal. When it's left behind, it feels like the town ran out of everyday decisions. A lock is a tiny boundary between private life and the world. In Amboy, locked doors feel less like privacy and more like the town holding its breath. At night, the road still looks infinite. But the sound is different now. Cars rush past on the interstate, while Amboy sits under stars, listening to what it lost. Sunrise used to mean fresh travelers, another day of arrivals. Now sunrise still comes on schedule, but the schedule doesn't include Amboy anymore. When tools disappear, work disappears with them. These hooks are a negative photograph showing exactly what the town used to fix for travelers. 2 lanes force you to share time with the landscape. That's why Route 66 towns existed, because the road asked you to slow down and need them. A stool is made for quick pauses, 5 minutes, 1 coffee, then back on the road. When it stays empty, it's like the town's pause button broke. A windmill is supposed to turn wind into water into life. Here, it mostly turns wind into sound, like the town's needs outlasted its traffic. A back room tells the truth about business. When inventory stops coming, it means the road stopped delivering customers, and the town stopped ordering a future. An intersection is where choices happen, turns, stops, decisions. When it's empty, it feels less like a place to meet, and more like a place to be forgotten. You can hear the world still moving, just not through here. Amboy didn't disappear completely. It was simply left out of the main conversation. Route 66 towns weren't only for travelers. People lived here too, raising families on roadside work. When the bypass came, home and business broke apart together. Sunlight is patient. It bleaches color, breaks paint, and erases the signs of care until a building looks abandoned for longer than it truly has been. In places like Amboy, dust becomes visible, turning light into something you can almost touch. It's the closest thing to motion that still stays inside. Route 66 is still here, but now it's more museum than highway. Amboy survives in that shift, less a working town, more a memory you can drive through. A little neon can feel like a heartbeat in the dark. But when the road is empty, the glow becomes a ghost, still shining, still hoping, still alone. A key turning is a simple sound, but it means someone is here, for a moment. In Amboy, even brief presence feels rare, like a stop that almost didn't happen. Amboy runs on desert time, now slower, wider, and indifferent. You don't rush it. You just watch the light change, and let the silence speak. Amboy was never meant to stand alone. It was meant to serve movement. When the movement changed roads, the town became an artifact of speed. What remains isn't just buildings. It's the outline of routines, where drivers stopped, where coffee poured, where nights felt safe, still drawn into the road like faint pencil. Amboy is a quiet warning. When a place depends on one kind of traffic, it can vanish fast. The interstate doesn't hate it. It just moves on.